Hey everyone, and welcome to our chapter on Booleans. Booleans are the most simplest data types. Essentially, they're like binary. What that means is they're either yes or no, true or false, 1 or 0. But in Python, they're only going to be true or false. Essentially, any expression in Python can evaluate the true or false, whether if a number is larger than a different number, or if a number is equal to a different number, if a value is equal to another value, or if a condition is even met. But essentially it all boils down to true or false. So let's jump right into it and see what this means in code. So essentially, whenever we compare values, we receive a response which is Boolean. The first thing that we're going to look at is the greater than sign. What it means is 10 greater than 9? Why? Because the open end of the sign is facing towards the 10. The part that is near the closed part is going to be the smaller than value. Now, we can also compare between two values to see if they're equal to each other. Is 10 equal to 9 over here? Now, please note that when we use a single equal sign, it means that we're assigning a value. When we're using two equal signs, it means that we're comparing values. And then we have the opposite of the greater than, which is smaller than, where we're putting on the left-hand side the value that we want to see if it's smaller than the value on the right-hand side. Now, of course, that was pretty simple, but if we take a piece of code where we manipulate our variables, and for example, we use exponents over here, at a certain point, we don't know what the value is within num1 or num2 because we used exponents on numbers which are obviously very big. So what we get over here is we can use an if condition, which we still haven't learned, but we will learn it later. So just take my word for it that this is simply checking if number 1 is larger than number 2. Essentially, if number 1 is greater than number 2, then I want to print number 1 is greater than number 2. Otherwise, I want to print that number 2 is greater than number 1. We'll cover if-else conditions in a later chapter. Now, what we can also do is we can store the response of a comparison inside a variable. If, for example, we're checking if a condition is met, let's say if a file was loaded, we can simply store the answer, the Boolean answer, within a variable. In our case over here, we're checking if number 1 is smaller than number 2. And then we're simply going to print the answer. So as you can see, number 1 is in fact not smaller than number 2. And as you can see in the response earlier, number 1 is greater than number 2. So of course it's going to evaluate to false.